The prince's husband was polite but distant, and she was not without her charms. Short and slender, but with expressive eyes, wrote a representative of the Venetian Republic about Catherine de Medici. Still, Henry Valois, the second son of King Francis I, preferred his young wife to a more mature, established woman, Diane de Poitiers. This arrangement had been the case almost from the beginning and lasted until Henry II's death. Catherine could have hoped for happiness. She married young and enthusiastic, with a husband of the same age. Their union was celebrated with daily balls and festivities for over a month. But alas, once the fireworks faded, the gray routine set in. Behind Catherine's back, she heard mockery, the merchant's daughter. This stemmed from her family, the Medici, who were among the wealthiest moneylenders in Europe. Of course, despite her fortune, Catherine paled in comparison to the Valois, descendants of Louis the Saint and heirs of the Capetians. But did love and loyalty only belong to the noblest? For years past, with nothing to show for it, Catherine de Medici had not given birth to an heir, and whispers of the princess's infertility began to circulate. Now, she had become the Dauphin. The elder son of King Francis had died, making Henry Valois the first in line for the throne, and the question of children was pressing. To make matters worse, the prince fathered a child with a casual mistress. The situation was simple. Henry Valois rarely visited his wife, and although Catherine de Medici resorted to various tricks to conceive, wearing pieces of deer antlers under her dress, pinning pouches of specially gathered herbs to her nightgown, drinking mule urine, which is hard to imagine, and using other dubious concoctions from magicians, pregnancy eluded her. In the prince's bedroom, Diane de Poitiers ruled, and Catherine found herself an unwelcome third in this love triangle. Diane was the first to catch on. She began to tell the future king how important it was to have children. After all, if Henry had no heirs, someone else might end up on the throne. So it was necessary for him to visit Catherine in the evenings. To paraphrase a well-known saying, close your eyes and think of France. The wise favorite's advice likely sounded something like that. Catherine also decided to take action. Since her husband was so persistently visiting Diane, perhaps Diane possessed some special knowledge? What could attract the king to a woman nearly 20 years older than him? The princess ordered a hole to be drilled in the floor, right above the spot in the bedroom where Henry Valois and Diane de Poitiers spent their time together. One cannot deny Catherine de Medici's composure and cunning. She simply wanted to learn. As soon as she heard her husband enter the favorite's chambers, she pressed herself to the drilled hole. She wanted to see everything for herself, to take note, and to replicate it. This all took place in the Château de Chenonceau. The famous 16th-century chronicler, Pierre de Bourdelle, author of The Gallant Ladies, recounted from the maids present during the observation that Catherine de Medici was literally shocked by what she saw. The princess began to cry, wrote Brantome. She lamented that her husband had never behaved with her in the same way. And then Catherine de Medici gave birth to her first child, a son named Francis. This sickly boy was destined to ascend the throne, along with his brothers. After all, Catherine would eventually become the mother of 10 children. The prince, and later King Henry II, began to visit his wife's quarters regularly. Perhaps the little peephole actually benefited this couple? Of course, the hole was eventually sealed. However, even today, visitors to the Château de Chenonceau hear the story of the benefits of the hole in the floor. Moreover, writers and filmmakers have since used Catherine de Medici's idea in their works. Eavesdropping or spying on someone through a peephole in a wall or ceiling is a common trope for characters in books and films.